Hey guys, Drifter here. Has anybody else noticed that controller players are now dominating competitive FPS games? Not just on console, where the games are made for controller, where that would make sense, like in Call of Duty, but controller on PC is consistently beating mouse and keyboard players on PCs as well, and this just seems a little bit wrong to me. There's something stinks in Denmark, you know? And today's video is going to be all about the controller rotational aim assist controversy and auto aim controversy and what we need to do to fix it. But before I get started, I wanted to say that I'm a big advocate of crossplay. At no point in this video do I ever want to come across as saying that crossplay is bad or we need to separate the systems or anything like that. I think that crossplay has been fantastic for gaming and is a benefit in every game that supports it. That being said, controller and mouse and keyboard are just out of balance right now, and it's tilting greatly in favor of the controller players. We're about to move into some graphs and data to show you exactly how much better controllers are than mouse and keyboard right now, but before we do that, I wanted to give a shout out to a fan of mine who's doing his master's thesis in game design by the name of Nathan, and what he needs is more people to help test out his theories about time to kill and sort of some of the latencies that are built into the game. It's a little bit hard to explain, but if you're interested in doing video game science and video game data, all you have to do is click a link down there below and join Nathan's Discord and help him out with his research project. I think he needs 36 people, which is quite a lot, but if you do this, it'll be kind of like testing for an in-depth episode and help somebody on their game development career path. But let's move to some of these non-COD examples with graphs and data before we move into Call of Duty. As an example of a little bit of research, because we try to be a data-driven channel here, this is from Halo Infinite, where some people play on controller and some people play on PC, and you can see the top 100 controller players are significantly better than the top 100 keyboard and mouse players in terms of accuracy, and the 50th percentile or average players, the story is about the same. This is just a different way to visualize the data, but it shows you just how strong of a performance the controller players are able to put out compared to mouse and keyboard. Only the very tippity top, not even top 50, but like top, really like the top 10, like the best of the best here with some of these anomaly points can compete with the controller players. And this skew is just way too much, in my opinion. I do not think it should be this out of balance. As a matter of fact, it's so out of balance that Apex Legends at the competitive level is almost all controller now. Here's a tweet, it's a couple of months old, from Al Bralier. God, I can never say that name right, but I've watched this streamer, I still can't say their name. They said, "I can't think of a reason as a competitor to stay on mouse and keyboard. For casual play, mouse and key is fine, but to compete, I don't know, man. I think roller is just better in every way if you're capable of playing it." Probably going to hang up the keys and swap in this 2-month off season that we've got. And lo and behold, I'm pretty sure he did. I know a lot of people did, which is sad to see people giving up an input that they previously preferred, and I think indicative of a bigger problem. It's a very big problem in Call of Duty. Of all the other games, I'm going to talk about more competitive games like Apex in a little bit, but in Call of Duty, the effect is even more noticeable because Modern Warfare 3 has a lot of RNG elements built into the aim. If you want to learn more about this, I actually made a video about it, which is linked down there below. You can check it out, but the short TLDR version is that Modern Warfare 3 has an always-on sort of wobble to your aim. I forget, it's an idle sway, but it's always on, so that when you aim down sights, you never snap to the target in the middle of the stream, you're just somewhere in the sway pattern. And also they made it that the center of your crosshairs moves around the screen and does crazy stuff. And these very frustrating RNG elements are mostly negated by controller aim assist. They still affect controller players. On Call of Duty, controller players still have to battle this, but they are assisted very greatly by the aim assist and especially by the rotational aim assist. So effectively, I'm playing with a disadvantage because I'm on PC. It's like I'm playing with a penalty, that everybody else gets this aim assist that wipes out like 80% of the RNG, but I have to deal with it. And there are also some situations that allow controller players to track enemies that they cannot see. The Gulag is a key example of this, or really almost any dark map or dark place, or when you're using certain weapons that have a ton of gas ejection, it can be a little bit hard to see, or maybe ugly iron sights. Now, if you're playing on mouse and keyboard, you just have to deal with that and try to guess where they're at. If you're on controller, that player might be able to let the aim assist track me or a different player in the environment, even if they couldn't be seen. which is a little bit much in my opinion. And at the end of the day, it just doesn't feel like I'm playing the same game as these console gamers. Man, I'm just not playing the same game. And the rest of this commentary, I want to let you know, is pure subjective opinion from here on out. This is not exactly factually backed up as much as it is just my personal opinion, which is that controller rotational aim assist and sticky aim assist need to either be nerfed or reworked in some capacity. And it feels bad to say that because I've been a PC gamer for a number of years now, and I always would do both systems. So of course, I have that chip on my shoulder about how good mouse and keyboard is and how I want to make it work. And I've got my, fancy like super light mouse for the bed rig here, and that PC gaming is the best and blah, 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 all that PC stuff. But the data indicates that we are getting obliterated by controller gamers. That's why the gameplay for this video isn't mouse and keyboard gameplay, because that's just too hard to do. It's too much to work with. Just go back to controller where it's easier and get the gameplay real quick. And that type of imbalance should not exist in games that like to fashion themselves as being competitive. An ideal scenario is an outcome-based scenario where whatever happens to aim assist and whatever happens to keyboard and mouse, the end result is that players on either are kind of equally accurate, that a controller player is just as good as a PC player, or maybe it's fine if controllers are still better, it's fine if there's differences, but they need to be in the same ballpark. And right now, I don't think they are. I think that controller players are almost an entire standard deviation ahead in performance, which means that the tools that were put in place aren't working. And it's kind of the best way to say it is kind of like almost like politics. Like you want to make a public policy to do something and you get the opposite result. Like the British had a problem with cobras in, colonial India. So they put out this bounty, so much money per cobra head. Well, instead of people killing all the cobras, they just bred more cobras, which meant that there were even more cobras. So even though the British didn't do anything wrong by putting out a bounty or trying to fix the problem, the end result made the problem worse. And I kind of think that's what's going on here. Aim assist is not wrong. Rotational aim assist is not wrong. I think that these features make the game possible to play and that it would be a miserable experience for console gamers without them. However, the assistive features also shouldn't make them superpowered. It shouldn't give you a standard deviation of bonus, performance. And another good analogy, now that I think of it, is kind of like the Paralympics or, the Special Olympics runner who was missing both legs, and he got those crazy springy legs that he could run faster than a normal person on. So much so, he didn't want to compete in the Paralympics, but rather wanted to compete in the regular Olympics. And they said the legs were too good and gave him too much advantage. They were afraid that he would dominate. That's kind of what's going on here. And I've tried to do this whole commentary from a very reasonable perspective. I'm trying not to be mad because bad. I'm trying not to be a boomer or just arbitrarily hate on people that are better than me, because overall, I'm quite happy to see that controllers are doing well. I genuinely want them to be competitive or at least as good as mouse and keyboard. As a guy who plays both, I'm mostly mouse and key now, but I do both and have done both for a long time. I want people to have options, but I can't shake this negative feeling when I get killed by a controller player that's doing something that would be close to impossible for me to do. And it's equally frustrating knowing that the game mechanics also handicap me. There are certain engagements that I just lose by default based on my input, and that just doesn't seem fair. And it ultimately results in me not wanting to play the game anymore. So that's why recently I found myself playing a lot of the finals, a little bit of Apex, some Battlefield, some other PC games. And the reason why isn't actually that I dislike Modern Warfare 3 or hate Warzone, but rather the inputs feel normal. They don't feel weird. Even in kind of newer like indie games, I'll pick up and just start shooting and it feels sane. I don't have an RNG on where the center of my crosshairs is. I don't have an idle sway pattern to fight with. I don't have people that can track me through the dark. So it feels a lot more normal, and that's where I've been recently just because I find this frustrating. But all of this video is just the opinion of one elderly gamer. If you have a different opinion, if you think I'm mad because bad, if you think controller players are actually disadvantaged or something like that, please let me know in the comments. And if you agree with me, please share this video with other people. Similarly, if you agree and don't want to send YouTube videos and make somebody watch 10 minutes of my nonsense, I think the best way to explain this argument is to say that controllers and mouse and keyboard are not properly balanced when they don't yield the same accuracy results, when they're not even close to the same. That the issue isn't necessarily that aim assist exists or that, PC players have more options, but at the end of the day, whatever system we have across the FPS spectrum seems to be favoring controllers, and by a pretty large margin. And we need to take that gap and shrink it down a little bit and make them a little bit closer to each other so that it's fair. Not better, not worse, but just fair with each other. And that's just my general opinion. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.